Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 2021, my driver career mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. Today we head to the Italian GP here in Monza in what, in my opinion, is a GP I have circled on the calendar here for this season. Not because I think we can go and win it, no, because I think we must beat Daniel Ricciardo in this episode if we want to keep any hopes of getting our first World Drivers' Championship alive. So this is a really big episode for us, and after today we go into Singapore in the next episode. My favorite track on the schedule, my favorite track in the whole world of racing, so I feel like that's a track that I've also got circled on the schedule as simply the track that we can go in and win and get our second win of the season. Still only one win on the season. I kind of want to actually win more than one race in a season really bad, because of course in season 2 with Aston Martin we won one GP, season 3 we won one GP, and season 4 so far we've only won one GP, and that was because our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo had a DNF in Imola. So hopefully we can go back to back though here in Italy with another win, but it's going to be tough here now as practice went really well with the programs we were running, with the race strategy, with the qualifying pace. We were actually second on the board at the conclusion of practices. We would make our way into now the first qualifying session here. I was expecting with the pace that this car had this weekend to be able to cruise through into Q3 and really have no problems, and then of course Q3, that's when the actual fight would start, and that would actually be the exact scenario that would happen. We would be top of the board here in Q1, and you can see the rest of the grid there and who got eliminated from Christian Lundgaard all the way down to Mick Schumacher. And Q2, same story. We would cruise through this session, top the board once again actually. So we top both Q1 and Q2. Things were looking pretty favorable for us going into this final third qualifying session, but of course it's all about putting the laps together. We would get Q3 underway here, and you can see turn 1 immediately I make a mistake right there, completely botched the apex now, but the rest of the lap was half decent. I was kind of slipping and sliding, making mistakes, missing a couple apexes here and there, didn't get through this chicane very well. You can see I lose it on the exit, but we crossed the line and for the time being go P1, but I knew that wasn't going to last because the lap was terrible. I make a second attempt here and messed up this chicane too, got sideways, somehow actually still gained time, and we gained only about 1/10 of a second here on this lap on our second attempt. P2 on the board. I said that's not going to be enough. I looked at my tire wear. I said I looked at the field as well. We had enough. I said let's make a third lap. Let's go for it. And we dropped down to P7. We managed to find through this chicane here a couple tenths of a second. And by the time we came through the final chicane, 4 to 5 tenths of a second better on our third attempt at a lap. We crossed the line. It's only going to be P5 here in the Italian GP qualifying, but on lap 3 we finally find something decent. What could have been if we could have maybe set that lap there on the first go? We could have been in the top 3, but nonetheless, let's head to the grid.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship, and what a great race is in store for us today here at the oldest circuit on the calendar. Monza hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. With top speeds reaching 215 miles per hour, only a few places can challenge Monza's crown as the fastest circuit in F1. Hard braking zones going into the 3 chicanes make up the majority of the 11 corners on this 3.6-mile circuit. And just in case the slipstream wasn't enough, 2 DRS zones will help encourage some closer action. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Let's have a chat about McLaren. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Daniel Ricciardo has a clear view ahead from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Gasly, the Golden Boy, and Bottas, Hamilton, Giovinazzi, Russell, and Yuki Tsunoda, Vettel, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and Ocon, Joe, Lundgaard, Callum Ilott, and Nicholas Latifi, Stroll, and Mick Schumacher. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
ready to go here for one of the most iconic GPs on the Formula One calendar here. It's a one-stop race from a soft to a medium compound, very straightforward here, rolling off the grid from 5th place. You see Daniel Ricciardo, you see Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly there, first through fourth, lining up in front of us there on the grid now. We need to beat Ricciardo, and not only myself, but I mean Gasly, Verstappen, Norris. They all need to beat Ricciardo today if they want to try and find themselves here with any chance of getting back into this championship hunt, as Ricciardo has been just a dominant driver all season long. It's going to be lights out. We are underway, and it's a good launch there on the right side of the track from Max Verstappen. He's going to be wheel to wheel even with Ricciardo down this front straightaway, and it's going to be crucial for someone to get ahead of Daniel. It's not been a great start for myself. I've already lost one position to Valtteri Bottas. You see wheel to wheel with Verstappen with Ricciardo, but it's Verstappen with the advantage on the exit. He takes the lead and clear of Daniel Ricciardo here, as I lost a spot to the Mercedes, like I mentioned, and there goes Giovinazzi, who's going to go around me as well. So I'm down 2 positions already, but I got in behind him, got the slipstream, took it back to the right side, and we would actually get clear of Giovinazzi into the chicane. So we only lose 1 position there, which could have been a lot better, could have been a lot worse at the same time. So we got to look at the positives there. We were definitely in a better position than what we could have been there. See Lewis Hamilton just behind Antonio Giovinazzi right there. A little bit further down the order, Yuki Tsunoda, and as well as the Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz trying to move their way through the grid on this opening lap here now, as we were just trying to settle in, get into a groove here, make sure we don't overheat the tires in this first and opening run of this GP. The car, it's felt comfortable. This is the most comfortable I felt in this McLaren throughout a whole weekend. It showed in practice. It didn't quite show in Q3, but it showed in Q1 and it showed in Q2. But like I said, Q3 we kind of dropped the ball here. But I'm hoping that we can use this comfortability that I've found in this car throughout this GP, and especially in this first run. I think we'll find out here with the tire temperatures and whatnot. You see scraps happening all over this racetrack right now at the conclusion of this first and opening lap. There's Sebastian Vettel in a battle with Tsunoda. You got the Alpines, you got the Ferraris. They're all in the mix here down into turn 1. They're going to be wheel to wheel, side by side, but they're going to be able to get through there pretty well. I believe that was George Russell right there. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton scrapping it out with Antonio Giovinazzi here now, as we continue to try and chase down Valtteri Bottas there in that Mercedes. Now Lewis Hamilton here in his final Italian GP. Don't forget, he is retiring. We can confirm he's retiring at the end of the season, and we have the option to maybe move over to Mercedes next season in this career mode, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. DRS activated on lap 4, and we cruise right to the back of Bottas, and we'll just say see you later, Valtteri, because we move up into the 5th position here. And next up, it's Norris, it's Gasly, Verstappen, and Ricciardo, and they were of course scrapping it out for the lead. And actually Verstappen and Ricciardo were having a side-by-side battle for the lead at one point here in the 6th lap, and actually that would lead to some contact and damage to the front wing of Max Verstappen, and that was basically all I needed to be able to try and get up into DRS range, because he was now holding up some drivers here, and this would bring me into the mix within the now 9 to 8 to 7 tenths of a second. It would just close and close and close on the 7th lap, and Verstappen would actually be forced into the pit lane to fix that wing damage, and probably he will have to now put on the hard compound tire if he wants any chance of pulling off the one stop there. As you see Norris going all the way to the nearly into the barrier. Actually, there's Gasly was just saying, no, you are not getting past me. But next thing you know, we get rid of Verstappen in that 4-car battle, but now I'm just going to join the 4-car battle myself here. Now, as you can see, Ricciardo was continuing to battle it out there with Pierre Gasly now, who took a shot at him for the lead of this GP. But Ricciardo, for the time being, will stay ahead. One thing that's different is we haven't seen Ricciardo just drive away in the opening run of this race, so everybody's been able to kind of stay with them here, and these battles right here would continue. Gasly swings to the left, swings to the right. Ricciardo's actually going to brake early and let Gasly take the front position here. Someone actually has something for Ricciardo today, and actually at the end of this lap, Gasly is going to dive into the pit lane. I noticed it. I said I'm going to dive in with you here and try to do the undercut and see if we can gain some track position on Lando Norris or against Daniel Ricciardo as well, and see if Gasly and myself can just leapfrog up ahead. Well, Gasly was already leading, of course, here, but see if we can at least leapfrog into maybe 2nd place here now, as we put on this first and only set, hopefully, of tires in this GP, and that's the medium compound. Gasly comes out there just in front of us, and looking behind us, Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, the Ferrari, as well, I believe, of Leclerc, was in. So we had no traffic when we came out of the pit lane, and we would, sure enough, cycle through moments later ahead of Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, who was actually able to get ahead of Ricciardo as well in the pit cycle there. So now Pierre Gasly leads. I missed the apex in turn when he saw a bit of a lock up there on my right front, but we still nonetheless move up into second place. And I was driving my heart out here, trying to get within DRS range of Pierre Gasly, and by the time we came to lap 15, we got into DRS range. Now, lap 17, we're close to Gasly. We have a chance to make a move. To the lead we go potentially here, wheel to wheel down into turn 1. 11 laps to go in this GP. We're going to be side by side, sideways into turn 1, and there goes Gasly missing the corner. He's going to shove us wide off the track, and here comes Lando Norris, took it 3 wide. The British driver goes to the lead of this GP in a 3 wide move for the lead. Unbelievable racing here in Monza. Now, as I felt I was shoved off the track there by Pierre Gasly. We've had some wheel-to-wheel battles with him this season, and there's another one right there, but this time it got a little bit dirty there, in my opinion now. But of course, I don't think I think I might have actually been the reason I got pushed wide at the same time, because I might have actually forced Gasly a little bit too far to the left, and that made him miss the apex return too. Nonetheless, still a little bit disappointed about how that kind of shook up here, because I had a chance to take the lead, and now I was under attack from Daniel here in my fellow McLaren now. As you can see, side by side though in front of us, Gasly and Norris are going to continue to scrap it out. There's been so many battles for the lead here so far in this Monza Italian GP, but Norris now takes the lead, but it wasn't over. Gasly would fight back here into the next chicane. Who's going to back out? No one's going to back out here, and I was right on the back of Gasly. Couldn't quite make anything happen here, and we just continue in this train here with Norris. With Gasly, they keep swamping, but myself and Ricciardo, we're not quite close enough to be able to pounce on these guys. We're just close enough to be able to kind of watch it happen and unfold, and I make a mistake right there in turn 1, got sideways, so that would leave a bit of a gap, and you continue to see these guys go back and forth. Now Norris back to the point there over Gasly, clear down into turn 1, so Gasly has to just kind of stay put, settle into that second position here. Now is actually on lap 23, heading into the chicane. Yellow flags behind us, and it's for our teammate and championship leader of Daniel Ricciardo. A mechanical failure. We said we needed to beat him. Lando needed to beat him. Gasly, Verstappen, etc. Well, that's going to happen now, because Daniel Ricciardo, for I think the 3rd time this season, is going to have a mechanical failure that will take him out of this GP, and that will for sure close up the championship battle here. Now, as we would come through to the final 2 laps of this race, same situation here as the whole last run of this race. Gasly, Norris swapping back and forth. Gasly to the lead. I wasn't quite close enough to be able to pounce right there on Lando Norris. I knew I was only going to have one more attempt on the front straightaway, likely come to this final lap, which would now get underway. Gasly, 0.6 of a second ahead. We have DRS, but so does Norris. It's going to take one beautiful lunge here down into turn 1, but we know we got to get it. Every point matters, especially with Ricciardo being out here in this championship battle, and we somehow make it work there. We get ahead of Lando Norris, but obviously you can see Gasly just too far gone. We were in DRS range, but just not close enough to really make a difference with the DRS here. So we come through this final chicane on this final lap. Pierre Gasly looking for his 2nd Italian GP victory here in Formula 1, and it's going to be a 2nd place runner-up finish for us. Lando Norris 3rd, Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen 4th and 5th. They're pretty close to each other, but it looks like it's going to still be Valtteri Bottas coming out on top. There's that a bit of a moment there, but Verstappen actually passes Bottas in the final corner. Gasly wins the Italian GP, gets the fastest lap as well, and he beats me by like 100th of a second for that fastest lap point, but we still nonetheless end up 2nd with Lando Norris P3. Let's head to the podium in a day where we finally gain points on Daniel Ricciardo.
Here we are then, a thoroughly deserved win in Italy after another excellent Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
As we await the winners to take their positions on the podium, one thing is clear. AlphaTauri have really shown their prowess on the track. This is a team that isn't afraid to take risks, whether that's on the circuit or in the new talent they hire. Today, those risks certainly paid off.
What an interesting GP there with the failure of the engine for Daniel Ricciardo. And you know what? We were ahead of him before he had his mechanical failure. So we can finally say, that it didn't take a mechanical failure for us to beat Danny Rick. As he still, of course, could have passed me before that race had ended. You never know. But there you see the championship battle. Ricciardo still out in front over Norris, 18 behind. Myself, 25 behind. And Gasly, 40 behind as well. And Bottas, 48 behind. So 5 drivers still have a chance, but Ricciardo's going to need to maybe have some more issues here for us to get into it. But going into the next episode now, it's the Singapore GP, my favorite track in Formula 1. And like I said, just in racing in general, I love Singapore so much. So I feel like that's the track that I'm genuinely confident we can go into and win. We were so close last season, actually, in a battle with our former teammate Sebastian Vettel, but we actually damaged the wing in the closing laps. Then we had a chaotic final lap, which led to a terrible finish for us. But if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'll see you guys in the next one for Singapore. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody.